Let me ask you something that might sting a little. When was the last time you put yourself first, without feeling guilty about it? When was the last time you said no and didn't spend the next 3 hours justifying it to yourself? When was the last time you walked away from someone who was slowly draining you and didn't look back with your hand on your chest, wondering if you were the villain? If you're struggling to answer that, you're not broken. You're coded differently. See, there's this pattern, invisible, ancient, passed down like a family heirloom nobody asked for. Some people learn it young. Maybe you watched your mother give and give until she disappeared into everyone else's needs. Maybe your father worked himself into silence, into exhaustion, believing that sacrifice was the only language of love. Or maybe you just absorbed it, through the walls, through the silence, through the kind of loneliness that teaches you if you're not useful, you're not lovable. That's the code. And once it's written into you, you don't just love people, you become their oxygen, their safety net, their second chance, their emotional emergency room at 2 a.m. You learn to read people like ancient texts, every micro-expression, every shift in tone, every unspoken need. You become fluent in everybody else's pain. You develop this radar that picks up distress signals from across a room, across a city, across a lifetime. And you respond every single time. Because somewhere deep in your marrow, you believe that your worth is measured in how much you can carry for other people.
Here's what nobody tells you about being an overgiver. At first, it feels like having a superpower. People need you. They lean on you. They tell you you're amazing, you're so strong, you're the only one who understands. You become the person everyone calls when life gets heavy. The reliable one, the steady one, the one who never breaks. And God, doesn't that feel good? To be needed, to be essential, to be the answer to someone else's prayers. It's intoxicating. It's validating. It's the closest thing to love you've learned to recognize. But here's the thing about carrying gold for other people while your own pockets are empty. Eventually, you forget what it feels like to be held. You become so good at being strong that people forget you're human. They forget you have limits. They forget you bleed. And you forget too. You start believing your own myth, that you don't need rest, that you don't need reciprocity, that wanting something for yourself is selfish, weak, needy. So you give more. You give your time when you have none left. You give your energy when you're running on fumes. You give your heart to people who are still learning how to hold their own. And slowly, so slowly you don't even notice, you start to disappear. Not all at once, not dramatically, but piece by piece, like a photograph left in the sun too long. Your boundaries fade first, then your hobbies, then your dreams, then the parts of you that used to laugh for no reason, that used to feel light, that used to take up space without apologizing for it. Until one day, you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person staring back, because she gave herself away. He poured himself out, and nobody thought to catch a single drop.
Let me tell you what breaking looks like for an overgiver. It's not loud. It's not a door slamming or a voice raised in righteous anger. It's quiet. It's the moment you're sitting across from someone you've loved for years, someone you've bled for, someone you've rebuilt from the ground up, and you realize they don't even see you. They see what you do for them. They see the role you play. They see the version of you that makes their life easier. But you, the raw, tired, aching human you, they've never even asked. And that's the moment. That's when the code breaks. Not with rage, not with blame, with something worse, with emptiness. Because here's the brutal truth about the Overgiver code. You were never taught that love is supposed to be a two-way river. You were taught that love is sacrifice, that it's supposed to hurt, that if it comes easy, it's not real, that you have to earn it by being indispensable. So you built your entire sense of self around being the giver, the healer, the savior, the glue. And when people take and take and take, you don't blame them. You blame yourself for not giving enough. That's the trap. That's the curse. That's what the Overgiver code does to you. It makes you complicit in your own erasure. It teaches you that your needs are negotiable, but everyone else's are sacred. It trains you to betray yourself 1,000 small times a day and call it love.
Now you might be wondering, where does this come from? Why do some people give until they break, while others seem to know instinctively where the line is? The answer is complicated, and it's heartbreaking. Because most overgivers, they were trained. Not with words, not with lessons, but with the kind of childhood that taught them your feelings are too much, your needs are a burden. The only way to be loved is to be useful. Maybe you grew up in a house where there was never enough time, never enough money, never enough emotional space. So you learned to take up less room, to need less, to be grateful for crumbs. Or maybe you grew up with a parent who was broken by addiction, by grief, by their own wounds. And you, as a child, became their caretaker, their therapist, their reason to stay. That's when the code gets written into your bones. When you're 7 years old and you're already managing everyone else's emotions. When you're 10 and you're already apologizing for existing. When you're 13 and you're already sacrificing your truth to keep the peace. By the time you're an adult, the pattern is so deep, so automatic, that you don't even question it. You just give. Because that's what safe feels like to you. That's what love looks like. That's the only language you were ever taught. But here's what nobody told that child. You were never meant to carry that weight. You were supposed to be carried. You were supposed to be protected, not the protector. You were supposed to receive, not just give. And the fact that you didn't, that's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of what was stolen from you.
So what happens when an overgiver finally wakes up? When they finally see the pattern? When they finally realize they've been trading their soul for the illusion of connection? This is where the story gets interesting, because there are two paths. The first path is familiar. You recognize the code. You see how it shaped your life. You understand, intellectually, that you deserve better. But you don't change, because change feels like betrayal, like letting people down, like becoming the villain in everyone else's story. So you make the same choice you've always made. You stay small to make others comfortable. The second path? The second path is fire. It's the decision to stop abandoning yourself for people who never even noticed you were bleeding. It's learning, slowly, painfully, to say no without a 20-minute explanation. It's setting boundaries and watching some people walk away and letting them. It's the radical, revolutionary act of asking yourself, what do I need right now? And actually listening to the answer.
This path is not easy, because when you stop overgiving, people notice. The ones who only loved your sacrifice, they'll call you selfish. The ones who built their lives on your back, they'll say you've changed, and not in a good way. The ones who never saw you as human will disappear entirely. And you know what? Let them go. Because the people who love the real you, the messy, boundaried, imperfect, still healing you, they'll stay. They'll adjust. They'll respect the space you're finally taking up. They'll celebrate the person you're finally becoming. And for the first time in your life, you'll understand what reciprocal love actually feels like.
Here's the truth they don't tell you about breaking the Overgiver code. You don't lose your capacity to love. You don't become cold or selfish or hard. You just redirect it. You take all that fierce, relentless, world-moving love you've been pouring into everyone else, and you finally turn it inward. You start showing up for yourself the way you've always shown up for others. You start honoring your own needs with the same urgency you've given everyone else's. You start protecting your energy like it's sacred, because it is. This is the rewrite. This is what it looks like when an overgiver reclaims their power. It looks like morning routines you don't rush through. It looks like saying, I can't take that on right now, without guilt eating you alive. It looks like choosing rest over performance. It looks like relationships where you're not the only one doing the emotional heavy lifting. It looks like discovering who you are when you're not constantly shape-shifting to meet everyone else's needs. And here's the beautiful, shocking truth. You don't become less lovable when you stop overgiving. You become whole. You become magnetic. You become the kind of person who inspires others, not because you're perfect, but because you're finally, authentically real.
So let's talk about the new code, the one you write yourself. The Overgiver code was this: my worth is measured by how much I sacrifice. Love means giving until it hurts. If I stop being useful, I stop being lovable. But the new code, the Empowered Giver code, looks like this: my worth is inherent, not earned. Love is mutual, not martyrdom. My needs are as valid as anyone else's. I can be kind without being consumed. I can love deeply without losing myself. Read that again. Write it down. Tattoo it on your soul. Because this is how you break the curse. Not by becoming someone else, not by shutting your heart down, but by expanding your definition of who deserves your love and putting yourself on that list. You see, the candle in the old story didn't have to burn itself out. It could have shared its light and kept its flame. It could have illuminated the darkness and preserved itself. That's not selfish. That's sustainable. That's how you love for a lifetime instead of burning out in a season. If you're watching this and you feel that ache in your chest, that recognition that, oh my God, that's me, I want you to know something. You are not too much. You are not broken. You are not unlovable because you've started protecting your peace. You are healing. And healing looks like choosing yourself even when it feels foreign. Healing looks like learning to receive, not just give. Healing looks like building a life where your love flows both ways. The Overgiver code was never yours to begin with. It was handed to you by people who were hurting, by systems that benefited from your depletion, by a world that celebrated your sacrifice, but never your wholeness. But you get to hand it back. You get to say, this is not my burden to carry anymore. You get to rewrite the story. And the new story? It's one where you love fiercely, deeply, powerfully, but you never, ever disappear in the process. Because the world doesn't need more candles that burn themselves out. It needs people who know how to tend their own fire.
People who understand that love without self-preservation isn't noble, it's unsustainable. And you were meant to burn bright for a lifetime, not just for everyone else, but for yourself too. If this resonated with you, if you felt seen in these words, drop a comment below with just one word: rewrite. Let it be your declaration, your commitment to breaking the code. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who's been giving until they're empty, share this with them. Because sometimes the most loving thing we can do is remind each other, you are allowed to stay lit. Thank you for being here, thank you for listening, and thank you for finally choosing yourself